Good morning, everyone. Okay, so again, as usual, we'll try to start a short mindful breathing exercise to quiet our mind, to bring our mind in moment, present, and then we'll try to cultivate good intention about being here before we start the talk. Okay. Make yourself relaxed, comfortable as much as you can. And try to keep your back straight. That always helps to be more alert and to have more clarity. And just try to let the flow of the breath naturally without trying to breathe too deep or short. Just let the flow of the natural. And then keep your mind or attentions watching the breath mindfully, simply just watching or observing the breath. If you notice your mind being distracted, be aware of that, and you can always bring back your attention to the breath again. Then we can try to contemplate. In most of our lives so far, we have tried to follow our selfish attitudes, self-cherishing mind, wanting the happiness, good things happening to us. And neglecting and ignoring others' well-being, but mostly just being so focused with our own well-being. Despite that, we have not been able to really be fully satisfied and happy and find true joy, happiness in our life. On the other side, there are others like bodhisattvas who have dedicated their life for the well-being of others. Totally cherishing the well-being of others. And by following that cherishing thought for others, they have been able to help benefit so many beings in their life. Able to bring so many positive changes, joy, happiness in life, so many others. As well as they were able to find sense of true meaning in their own life, true joy and satisfaction in their life. Therefore, it's quite clear if we follow selfish attitude, not only we are not unable to be much help, benefit to others, but it is unable to bring sense of true meaning, satisfaction, joy in our own life. On the other hand, when one follow the cherishing thought for others, not only one is able to bring so much joy, happiness, and goodness in life of others, but it also brings sense of true satisfaction, joy, meaning, happiness in our life. With that understanding, from now on, I'm going to try as much as possible to reduce that selfish attitude as much as possible and to increase and improve the cherishing thought for others. And to be able to do that, I must meditate, contemplate correctly, continuously. Therefore, I'm going to listen to the talk. Not only listen, but trying to integrate and apply in our everyday life as much as possible. And in order to be helped to liberate all sentient beings from their all suffering, cause of suffering, and in order to be helped to guide all sentient beings to ultimate true happiness, I must achieve fully awakened state. To achieve that fully awakened state, I must engage into the bodhisattva practices, meditations. And therefore, I'm going to listen the teachings. Okay, so we can do that.
Taking refuge and generating bodhicitta, once in English, twice in Tibetan. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye chodam soki chognam la, changju bardu dagni kyapsu chin, dagi chunyen gepe sonegi, drola pencher sangye drupar sho. Sangye chodam soki chognam la, changju bardu dagni kyapsu chi, dagi chunyen gepe sonam gi, drola pencher sangye druparsho.
Again, good morning, everyone. Again, welcome, and thank you for joining this morning. And we have been going through a particular text written by one of the Dalai Lama, the Third Dalai Lama. And the subject of that text or the book is about practice or training in the bodhisattva's practice or training, And as we mentioned before, the bodhisattvas are those who have cultivated unconditional true love, compassion for all sentient beings. On the basis of that, who have developed what we call bodhicitta mind, meaning the mind of awakening, aspiration or the wish to achieve fully awakened state so that you can be greatest help and benefit to each and every sentient beings. So those are the bodhisattvas. So here we talk about this book or text talk about how to engage in such bodhisattva practice so that we can achieve that fully awakened state so that we can be greatest help benefit for others, oneself. And not only that, but while we are on the path, how can we be more help benefit to others and oneself? It's not about like only until you achieve that you will be more help and benefit. But while you are on the path, as we make progress on the path, how can you be more and more help, more and more benefit to others and yourself? How can you take care of yourself better, mentally, emotionally? How can you be more help and benefit to others? So those are the bodhisattva practice. And in relation to that, we already talked about how to cultivate, this unconditional, unbiased true love, compassion, and bodhicitta mind. We all have the seed of love and compassions. Everyone has that seed of love and compassions. But it's not fully grown and blossom at the moment. Our love, compassion at the moment sometimes is conditional. Sometimes it is not conditional, it's still biased. We have love, compassion for some, but we cannot feel love and compassion for everyone's. So in that way, it's a bias because you cannot feel that love, compassion equally to all the beings. Partial bias, And also, a lot of time, our love, compassion become kind of conditional, But we have the seed. We have the seed to work on. It's not something that you don't have the potential, that you don't have the seed. The seed is already, we all have that, so we need to work more on that. And so the meditations, different practice meditation that we discuss, and in explaining this book or text are those meditation how to make sure that this seed slowly started to blossom to its full potentials, And the way to do is to practice meditations, And so that is what we talk about. And once we have cultivated that true love, compassions, and bodhicitta mind, then how can we engage in the action to be help to others and oneself through the practice of what known as the six paramitas. And with that, we are on that chapter where the author explained about how to engage in those practices. And within that, he talked about how to engage in the practice of generosity. We talk about that, the paramita of generosity. He also talked about how to engage in the practice of moral or ethical discipline so that we try to live our life in such a way that we try to be health benefit. If not, at least how can we avoid any actions that can be harmful to others and oneself, and that kind of moral ethical life. So the second paramita. And third paramita, we talk quite a bit, the practice of patience. How to cultivate the mind of patience, which is so crucial, for our well-being, for our happiness, as well as for us to be able to be better in interacting with everyone around us, And of course, also, being patient with those difficult people, being patient with our difficult situations, difficult life situations, how to be patient, in, our own practice when we are trying to be better persons, when we are trying to be, more virtues. And then again, sometimes there comes obstacles. And then how can we be again, patient with all of that in our practice, in our virtues, So we talk about that and that third. And now we are in a section where he talk about the fourth paramita, the paramita of joyous effort in the virtues. And so, and in cultivating the joyous effort or perseverance in the virtues, last time we talked about, overcoming the obstacles to develop that joyous perseverance and gathering the conducive condition that help to have that joyous effort or perseverance in our virtues. And we talk about the three kind of obstacles, three type of kind of, you know, laziness. We talk, and then, yeah, we talk about being lazy, not being inspired, not having the energy or inspirations in engaging in the practice, engaging in the virtues, and thereby, keep on kind of postponing and not engaging in the practice. We talk about that, and we talk about the in generally, in our ordinary world, we might not call it laziness, but from Dharma point of view, it becomes laziness when, you don't have the inspiration to the virtues and energy and inspiration to the virtues and something positive, but that we might have energy and inspiration to something non-virtuous. And that is also obstacles to have a inspiration in the virtues and energy in the virtues. We talked that a little bit also. And then other one is, one of the reasons, like in many things, and also in this, why we struggle to have inspirations and enthusiasms and energy in doing something is because sometimes we don't have the confidence. Sometimes we don't have the self-confidence that we can do it, And so that is one, not having the self-confidence, Like in everything, when you have a confidence that you can achieve that, you can do that, you can make it, then it gives you more inspirations, more enthusiasms, because you know that you can make it, you know you can do it, you know that you can succeed it. But when you are not sure that whether you will be able to make it, whether you will be able to have a success, whether you will be able to achieve or not, then you don't have same level of inspiration, same level of enthusiasm, same level of, perseverance and all of that. So that is where important to have the confidence that we can do it. And so here we are talking about the Bodhisattva's practice, confidence in that, And the Bodhisattva practice is to achieve fully awakened state, your highest potentials, the fully awakened state, so that you can be greatest help to all sentient beings, including yourself. And that is sometimes that is one of the obstacles for us to have a strong energy, enthusiasm, and inspirations. When we talk about fully awakened state, sometimes it feels like it's too far away for us. It feels like it's out of our reach. We feel like, I cannot even deal with small issue now. When we are talking about cultivating a state where you are free from all these afflictive emotions, all these obscurations, you are talking about achieving a state that is perfect, achieving a state that is achieve all the conducive condition, achieve all the political inner condition qualities, because even dealing with one emotions, whether it's sometimes we might have some issue with anger, sometimes we might have an issue with self-doubt, sometimes we might have an issue of whatever addictions, attachment, jealousies, those different negative emotions, fear, anxiety, worries. Even with trying to deal with one emotion take a lot of effort, lot of hardship, lot of perseverance. Even with all of that, sometimes we struggle. We struggle to overcome those issues that we want to overcome, you know. So when we talk about that, then we feel it, it seems impossible to overcome all those different afflictive emotions, all these obscurations, and permanently, and then to achieve even one positive quality seems not easy. To develop even unconditional, unbiased loving kindness seems very difficult, not easy, quite, compassion, to develop true compassion, bodhicitta. And when you go through all those different positive state of mind, virtue state of mind, each of them seems to require so much effort. And even with so much effort, we struggle to develop even one of those qualities. And sometimes it feels like, it almost feels like maybe it's not for me, maybe I'm not, this path is not for me. Sometimes we might feel that being discouraged, And so that becomes that kind of discouragement, that kind of self-doubt, that kind of not having self-confidence become then obstacles to have that inspirations, enthusiasm, and the enthusiastic perseverance. And so therefore that is, and in dealing with that, then as Shandeva explained, first we have to remember that we all can achieve that fully awakened state, having that confidence through reflecting, contemplating, as because we all have the Buddha nature, the potential. Everyone has the potentials or the Buddha nature to become fully awakened, fully enlightened. Buddha himself has said, not only we human beings, even the animals have that potentials. Even the other beings, such as animals, have that potentials. And compared to the animal, we have much more better conditions to meditate, contemplate, and to work on that particular seed, the Buddha nature. And so if we can put enough effort, for sure we can achieve fully enlightened state, because we have that potential, because we have that Buddha nature. Also thinking, contemplating, meditating, all those enlightened or awakening beings, all the Buddhas, they were just like us at one time, ordinary, full of mistake, full of faults, full of shortcoming. They were not perfect from the very beginning. Buddha Shakyamuni and all other Buddhas, they were not perfect from the very beginning. They were not faultless from the very beginnings. They were just like ourselves, who have their own, just like ourselves, their own shortcoming, faults, mistakes. But since they have the same potential like we had, and then when they try to work on that, then eventually, slowly over the time, they were able to overcome all their faults, all their mistakes, all their shortcomings, and overcome all those, afflictive emotion, obscuration, and achieve that fully awakened state. And so we are not different from them. They are not different. So we have the same. If we put same effort like them, we can achieve. All the past enlightened beings are that. The present enlightened beings are in the same. Even the future enlightened beings will same. So we are no different from them. Through such understanding, reflecting, contemplating, again, trying to build confidence that I can do it, I can make it, I can achieve it, Again, that kind of practice meditations. So then when you talk about practicing the bodhisattva path, then we talk about, then if we engage bodhisattva, then it means, coming into this samsara again and again to help and benefit sentient beings. That seems a little bit too much, Even dealing with one samsara seems too much. I'm ready to say bye-bye, if there is a way to say bye-bye. If I can say bye-bye to this samsara, I'm ready to do that. Too much to deal with that. Sometimes that's how we feel. And then that you have to come again and again in this kind of samsara to be help, benefit sentient beings. So then again, we might be a little bit kind of scared, fearful, not confident. But as Nagarjuna mentioned in his precious garland, and also Shantideva mentioned in his Guides the Bodhisattva Way of Life, they mentions, Nagarjuna said, if something's painful, lot of sufferings, even the short period seems too long. It's hard to deal with that. Even in a very short period, it feels like too long. But if it is not so painful, it is not difficult, but if something you enjoy, even the long time seems very short. Even the long time feel very short. So therefore, he mentioned, when you engage in this path, and when you cultivate true love, compassion, bodhicitta mind, and when you have this bodhicitta mind and become bodhisattva, and then when you have understanding of the emptiness, when you are able to see everything like a illusion, like a dream state, like a illusions, not so real as it feels to us at the moment. When you have that, when you, as a bodhisattva, when you have developed that bodhicitta mind and the wisdom, then by the power of that bodhicitta mind, by the power of that wisdom, you purify all the negative karma that you have created before so easily. You don't create new negative karma, you create less or do not create. And so when you are purifying the previous negative karma, you are creating less negative karma, then you have less sufferings. You have less sufferings. Less pain, less sufferings. And because you have such bodhicitta mind and such wisdom to see everything as like a, so therefore you have less situations where you have, more pain on your physical level. You have less pain and suffering on physical level. Not only that, because of your incredible compassion, loving kindness, bodhicitta mind, and that wisdom, no matter what situation you encounter, you have these tools to deal with them. It doesn't become any pain, because it becomes more painful when whatever problem, whatever sufferings, whatever obstacles, whatever challenges, for us, the challenge feels so real. The pain feels so real. The obstacle feels so real. But when you have that wisdom, you don't feel that so real. You see like an illusion, like a dream. So then it's not so painful. It's not so difficult. And because of that, then you don't suffer emotionally, mentally. You don't suffer mentally, emotionally, because of that wisdom and that compassion, bodhicitta mind. You have this incredible, mind to not be affected by all this on emotionally, mentally. And so therefore, when you don't get affected by that, so then even you come in samsara to help benefit others, you wouldn't experience so much suffering, like ordinary suffering. Ordinary beings suffer. Ordinary beings suffer more because they don't have the tools. Those who have tools, they suffer less mentally, emotionally. And so therefore, when you don't suffer, you suffer less, you don't suffer, and therefore then you should be happy to come back. You shouldn't discourage you from coming back. It shouldn't scare you from coming back as a bodhisattva, because you have the tools to deal with them, so it wouldn't be so painful as it might become for others if they don't have tools. So when we think that, and as also Shandeva explained, when you have all these qualities, all these spiritual realities as you have trained and when you have achieved, then even you come in samsara again and again for as long as it requires, and when your situation is improving better and better, life after life, that who would be so discouraged by that? Who would be discouraged by to come again to be help and benefit? And that is what that that is what we see. Even someone like His Holiness Dalai Lama, and he always, mentions, this verse. There's a verse from Shantideva. As long as space remains, as long as sentient being remain, may I too remain to dispel the miseries of others. And Dalai Lama says he recite that all the time. He meditate, contemplate that all the time. And that is one of the things, because as long as it takes, as long as space remains means endless. There's no limit to the space. As long as one sentient being remain, I will continue to come to help that sentient beings. How long ever that might be means, such is their mind training. And when they have that such mind training, when their mind trained that way, then when you face some obstacles, challenges, problem, it doesn't knock them down. They think it's nothing. They feel it's nothing. It's such a small. When you have mentally prepared yourself to take the worst, and such is the process of training. Just like Nagarjuna says, Shantideva says, and then as his holiness, that's what he trained, And the 14th Dalai Lama mentioned, he was reading the biography of the 7th Dalai Lama. I think it was 7th Dalai Lama, And then it says in the biography at the end of his life, before he passed away, and it was very light, he said, to some of his attendants, can you arrange some offerings? There seems to be some kind of sign, not good sign, And then they said, oh, why is that, You are a great beings, you are an enlightened being, and you have choice, and you can go to any of those pure land wherever you choose, and so what is there, and he said, no, he said, I want you to come back in the world where there's more sufferings, so I can be help, benefit. But there was some sign that he might be going some other places, so that he wanted to change the situations. And he didn't want to go to such as Pure Land, but he wanted to come in the world where there's more sufferings and where there's more needed. And the 14th Dalai Lama was saying when he read that, it really touched his heart and it really inspired him. And that is the things, like the bodhisattvas, when they train, they don't try to escape from the pain and suffering, but they want to come where there's more suffering and more pain, so that they can be more help. So they don't get so discouraged by all of that. So yeah, so that was where we're talking about. In order to overcome that kind of being discouraged and fearful and not having confidence, then meditating on such verses and meditating on such meanings can be helpful to give us more courage and to give us more confidence. And when you have that kind of courage and confidence, then it gives you more enthusiasm and more energy in engaging your path and here the Bodhisattva path. So those are dealing with the three obstacles, and then having overcome those obstacles, then engaging the conducive conditions, gathering or engaging conducive conditions that can help to improve our joyful perseverance in our virtues, and especially here the Bodhisattva path and practice. And in Shantideva, I mentioned 4 conducive conditions, is in order to have that joyful perseverance in the virtues, especially the Bodhisattva practice and path. Aspirations, is the one. In order to have aspirations, then you need to contemplate, meditate on the benefit of that practice. The more you meditate, contemplate on the benefit of that, the more you get inspiration to achieve that. The more inspiration you have, the more energy and more perseverance you have. So, meditating on the benefit of bodhicitta, meditating on the benefit of the bodhisattva path, meditating on the benefit of the achieving fully awakened state. So all of those, the result itself as well as the path that lead to that result. So the more we meditate on benefit of, let's say, bodhicitta mind, the more you get inspired to achieve that bodhicitta mind. The more you meditate on the benefit of true loving kindness, compassion, the more you get inspired to achieve that. So that one try to meditate on that. It's just same like external object. When new object comes in the market, and when you hear from your friend, family, or how nice it is, this solve this problem, this solve this problem, this. When the more you hear all of this, all the benefit or good things, the more you feel that I must have that. I need to get that. I must have that. You get more, the wish to get that object. Same way in a spiritual practice. Whatever you are trying to achieve that, you have to contemplate, meditate. To meditate, you need to have inspirations. And here, in order to have a joyful perseverance, you need the inspiration and help to do that. So then in order of that inspiration, then you need to meditate more on all the benefit. If you have true loving kindness, bodhicitta, compassions, how different it will make you on so many different levels. How different it will make towards your families, towards your friends, towards your colleagues, towards the world that we live in. So the more you see that, then the more you feel, oh, this is something I must cultivate. I must have this one. I must achieve this one. And so you'll be more inspired, and that inspiration help in cultivating this joyous effort. The other one is kind of steady mind, self-confidence and steady mind. And self-confidence, we already talked a little bit about self-confidence in this practice, in this path. Also, steady mind, is that, is one of the important, I think, not only in this practice, in our everyday life, everything we do, where your mind is not so fluctuating all the time. One day you feel like, oh, so excited, and next day you feel like very, very kind of, down, not steady, And that happens with our mind, that happens with our practice. Someday we get so inspired, you try meditate and practice long, and then for some days, weeks, months, we don't practice. We kind of neglect. Again, we get inspired after some time. Again, we get very excited, and again, we do it. And there's no steadiness. And when there's no steadiness, then it's hard to have that kind of joyful perseverance all the time. Joyfully perseverance in your practice meditation is hard to have that. So you need to have a steady mind. And one of the things that which many of the teachers advise, and that is also thing I try to share, and I myself try to follow. You don't try to do too much. You do something where you can keep steady all the time. Sometimes we get inspired and you try to do too much. You try to do too much, and then after some time you get tired, burn out, or all those different things, and then you completely give up. And that doesn't lead to a good result. Whereas even you don't have long, so much, but you have little bit, whatever, even half hour, 45 minutes, less, but having that steadiness is important. Having that steadiness. And when you do that with the same steadiness, you will have a better result. You will have better result, and it's also easy to keep up that. And then slowly, so you build up, increase the practice a little bit more, 10 minutes more, 15 minutes more, slowly, maybe half hour more slowly. One thing that I've seen, even in monastery as well as in the Buddhist centers, sometimes when they come, some of students at the very beginning, they get so excited because like they feel like they found a home, something that feeling they had since they were quite young, but they couldn't make sense with others, and then they come to Buddhist centers and they hear the teaching, and then, oh, this is what it is, and they feel like they get excited, and they do too much in that excitement. When someone does too much, I get a little bit worried. A lot of time they burn out, and then when you burn out, then you have allergy. you have allergy, you don't want to go there, and sometimes it can happen because you do too much and you burn out yourself. No. And so therefore, like everything, going slowly, steady is the key. Slowly but steady, Mm. And in the end, that has better result all the time. Even in monastery, we see that some students, those who are more steady, at the end, they have better result in terms of study, in terms of practice, in everything. And so therefore, that steady mind is important, Of course, here we are talking about the practice, but not only practice, I think in every day, in whatever you do, I think that kind of steadiness is important, even in a relationship, Sometimes you get so excited and now there's all that, and then suddenly then you stop and doesn't have that relationship and you stop relation. So instead of being so fluctuating so easily that, but more kind of steady, slow but steady is in everything is you will have a better result from such, and once whatever you start, try to continue and try to finish it is important. And that's where study also is required. You get excited, you try one practice, and you try after some time, and then you give up. Oh, this is not. And then again, you try another meditation, another practice. You get excited, and you do a lot. And then again, you give up. You lose interest. Again, you try another different meditation, a different practice, and you keep on changing all the time, and there's no steadiness. And so then it's hard to have a result from any of those meditations because you haven't given enough time and steady in that. And then you think, oh, this meditation doesn't work, or this meditation not for me, or this meditation doesn't work. And you try everything and still you cannot have any good result from any of them because there's no steadiness, So they need to be steady, Whatever practice, meditation you do, have more continuity. Steady continuity is the key, one of the key. So that is one, The other things, other conducive conditions here to develop a joyful perseverance in the path and the virtues is joyfulness in doing that. Finding a joyfulness in your meditations. Finding a joyfulness in whatever virtues you are engaging into. Finding a joyfulness in whatever you are doing. If you find a joyfulness in that, you wouldn't get so easily tired. If you don't enjoy it, 10 minutes can be very tiring. You go to a movie or anything you don't enjoy, after 1.5 hour might be torturing. Could be like torturing, become like a torturing. If you enjoy 3 hours, you don't know how it went. It just feel like 5 minutes, and you never want it to end. So if you enjoy something, you have more energy. You don't get tired easily. You can go for a long time without getting so tired and enjoying and being all of that. But when you don't enjoy, then even very short period can be very tiring. And same with job. Many things, If you enjoy even a big job, it doesn't feel like big. You enjoy it. If you don't enjoy, someone asks you to do small thing, that can be very tiring. It's nothing a big project, it's nothing a big job, but still is very tiring because you don't enjoy it. And I think for us, one of the things is that, why we are unable to have that enthusiasm in our practice. And it's because sometimes we don't find joy in that practice. Sometimes the practice become another work, another job. We always have many jobs to do, and then you feel like this practice is another job that added there, not necessarily because you enjoy it, and then that become, sometimes it can almost become like burden. And then sometimes we feel like, I wish I could skip the practice today, And sometimes we might try to find an excuse to skip the practice. But if you enjoy, even someone says you can skip, you wouldn't skip it. Even your teacher says, you don't have to do the practice today or for this week or this month. You can take off. Still, you will do it because you enjoy doing it. And that is where finding the joyfulness, in practice. And I always say, finding joyfulness, we all have to find our own way to that. And I always say, creativity is not just only outside. It can also, you can bring creative in your meditation, your practice. And through that creativity, you try to find a way to enjoy the practice, enjoy the meditations. Without changing the core essence of the practice, the meditation itself, if you change the core point and the essence of those practice meditation, then again, you might not have the result that you want to achieve from that practice meditations. But if you don't change that, the core points and the core, then I think sometimes you can be a little creative around that and make it more personal, more enjoyable. In that way, then you find more joy in your meditation practice. Instead of trying to meditate on something, the outline given in the Lamrim or some by other teachers, or some that where you struggle to make in certain points, in certain areas where you struggles to have that connections, and so you struggle and you don't enjoy, and then you don't get inspired to practice, and then after some time you give up, say it's not for me or whatever, And so that is finding joy is one of the factors, the conducive conditions. And the other conducive condition that explained by Shanteva, also in the Lamrim and all that, is called, resting. And that is learning how to relax and rest when it needs. In our path, in our practice, in our virtues, whatever. When you need to take a rest, when you need to relax, you have to do that. It's important for longevity. We shouldn't think short term. We have to think longevity, long term. And for longevity, for long term, is better. Whether is you are giving a service, same. Whether is your practice, is not only the meditation. If you are giving your service to any organization or any individuals, if you want to be able to give more, if you are able to help others for longevity, it's best when you need to relax and rest, to understand that I need to rest, I need to relax, knowing your body, knowing your mind. Of course, to that, then you have more awareness, more mindful of your body's needs, your mind needs. When your body your body needs to rest and relax, you have to give rest and relax. Otherwise, the engine will break down. And then you cannot drive anymore. Because the engine break down, because you overdrive it, overheated it. When there's a sign it's being heated, when there's a sign that the engine is getting too heat, you have to stop it. And then you need to give rest. You need to change the water, give new water, whatever that need. But if you keep on, because I have to reach there, you keep on pushing it, and then it break down. You never reach there. Not only not reach there, then you wouldn't have car for many days, weeks, months. Instead, if you have rested half hour, 1 hour there and take care of it, you wouldn't be there. So same thing, that is what happens in our practice, meditation, and also being a service to others, whether it's individuals, whether it's organizations. And that is one thing I try to, remind, especially those who give, always watching your body and also your mind. Sometimes your body is okay, your mind needs rest, Instead of, your mind is already becoming a little bit negative, So when that happens, then sometimes it's, you need to give break to your mind, And so those are the things. So knowing, that is where the key is, knowing where to relax when you need to relax, and then pushing when you need to push. That is the key. Sometimes we are become too lazy. We need to push a little bit ourselves. Sometimes we push ourselves too hard, too much. And when we need to relax, we didn't relax it, again, that becomes another problem. So finding the right thing, that has always been the Buddha's message, the middle way. We tend to go from one extreme to the other extreme in so many situations. Sometimes we relax too much and not push ourselves and become too lazy and not do anything. Or sometimes when we feel like doing something, then we push ourselves so much, we break down. So therefore, that is the key. And especially also in general, also in meditation, when you do retreat and other meditations, sessions, they always advise is, you try to stop the practice, the meditation, while you are enjoying it. If you stop while you are enjoying it, when you think of restarting the next sessions or next meditations, your memory of past meditation is a nice one, good one. It inspires you to go. Sometimes, we push ourselves. You are enjoying, but then you push too much, and then slowly it becomes too tiring. And then you stop it, because now you're too tired, you cannot concentrate because your mind is too tired. And you stop there, and next sessions or next meditation, when you think of going to the cushions, you remember the previous one, not tiring, distracted, not enjoying. So then maybe I should skip today or these sessions. or today, and so then it's not so inspiring. The previous experience that you remember is not so great. And so you want to stop where you have a better experience. So it inspired the next sessions, next meditations. And so that we will session to session, that can be one retreat meditation to another retreat meditations, and that apply in everything's also being service to one to another, Sometimes you give a service to any organizations and you are enjoying it and you're doing that. And then after some time you have all this conflict and all this unenjoyable. And then because of you have that experience, is much more discouraging to be able to offer service to any other organization because you say, I've done with that and it was horrible. That was not good experience. That was a very bad experience. So you get scared. You get scared and fearful of wanting to offer your service to another organization because your experience in the past was not so great. But if your experience was also good, then it will give you inspiration, courage to give, whether that's same or others, And so that is another kind of factors that can. So with that, those are the 4 conditions. So we overcome the 3 obstacles, try to gather these conducive conditions. And through having this conducive condition, then we try to engage in this perseverance in the virtues. And this is, there is a term that you find in Buddhist scriptures. Your perseverance should be like constant running of the river. It's not like the river where many of the Oroyo here, In the summer, there's normally there's nothing. Then when it's rain, it floods. There are times it floods, and then there's nothing there. So sometimes our practice can become like that, like floods. Sometimes we're excited, we do too much, all of that, and then sometimes there's nothing. But instead, there's other rivers where there's constantly running all the time, and with that, one will have better result. Better result from the meditation, from the practice, from the service, whatever, more consistent, more continuity, more consistent, more continuity, and it's also more easy to maintain that when there's more consistent and more continuity. It's better for us to also maintain that. You become it part of your kind of, you make it into your fit within your life in such way because there's consistent continuity. Is more easier instead of, yeah. And when we are able to find joyous perseverance into the practice, into the path, into the virtues, not only you enjoy the whatever you are doing, but then you feel less tired, more energized, more enthusiasm, as well as you will be able to achieve the result better, quickly, more easily. So not only you are able to achieve the result more quickly, better, but while on the path, the process itself, you enjoy the process itself. It's not only about achieving the result, but also enjoying the process itself that lead to that result is key. So you actually enjoy the meditation, the practice itself, the process itself that lead to the result. That's something you want to achieve. So it is not only about achieving where you achieve, but it is without enjoying and being very kind of, uninspiring, but actually you enjoy. And then, I think that is what we want to achieve. So that is the, I think, sorry, I didn't read. How to train the perfection of joyous perseverance. And I think we read the first two paragraphs. And then there's three kind of joyous effort. The first one, like joyous perseverance, which does not abandon difficult practice for any reasons, whatever, based on that. So armor is like something you protect, you wear on when you go in the conflict, war, to protect yourself. In the same way, at the very beginning, on the both of practice as well as in the practice meditations, you try to generate this kind of perseverance, more like perseverance in your mind, mentally being prepared, mentally preparing yourself, training yourself to prepare for the worst scenario. And so in mind, even if it come to the worst, I will not give up. I will not give up. So just as in one of the Lama Choba, as it says, even if I have to remain in the Nara, where it is the most intense sufferings, for eons and eons, in order to be helped to one sentient beings, may I never give up my compassion to help and benefit sentient beings, and may bless me to be able to perfect the practice of perseverance. And that is what it is, mentally preparing yourself. Even it takes eons and eons. Even I have to face the most difficult situation, most sufferings. May I be able to help that person, and may I never stop from helping that person. So that is from the very beginning, you have training and preparing yourself the worst scenario. And when that you have prepared and trained yourself for that, then even it takes 3 eons, countless eons compared to countless eons. 3 eons, nothing. You feel like so short. Even you face a lot of other difficulties. You feel compared to the worst sufferings, this is nothing. So you don't easily give up. It doesn't become discouragement and cause to give up. And that is where this one is saying, and as I recited the Lama Chopa and that verses, and that is similar to this His Holiness training with the Shandeva, as long as space remains. That is like like a armor, like perseverance. As long as it takes, as no matter what sufferings, that I will not give up. I will continue to work for benefit of other sentient beings. That is the bodhisattva, how they train. And so when they have that kind, that is like the armor. And there's no matter how much challenge comes, difficulties, compared to what they have prepared in their mind, these are small. Prepare for, because they are mentally trained and prepared for the worst one. And so compared to that, this is not the worst one. And for they feel very much more lighter. And so then they can manage it. It doesn't become such a discouragement. When you are not prepared for that, even small problems, even small obstacles can be unmanageable because you didn't expect that. Your mind was not prepared for that, And again, I had that some experience in when I was at the monastery, going into the meetings or in all discussion, what kind of mind you set go in. how you get from there, If you feel, oh, my idea is good idea, so everyone should be happy and everyone will support you, should be supporting, and then one person is not supported, and you feel that, discouraged and not being supported and not appreciative. But then when you go in a mentor, I know that, probably half of them or majority might not agree with me, might not agree with my view, might not support. And then you find 3-4 people who are not agreeing, or they have different view and they're not supportive in your ideas. What do you think? Oh, only 3? Only 4? Is a nice surprise, a good surprise. So it doesn't become a hurtful, or you don't become too personal and all of that. There's a difference in how you, before you do, what kind of expectations, what kind of mental state you go with. So that's why you go with the worst scenario, and being prepared for the worst one mentally, training and preparing for the worst one. I think that is what here it is. That is why it's called armor like perseverance, Joy, perseverance, which rests in wholesome dharma and further your practice of sixth perfection, and by means of above two, So this one is joyous perseverance, in engaging the wholesome Dharma practice, whether it's a purification, or whether it's accumulation of merit, whether it's the study of the Dharma, reflecting, contemplating, meditating, or all other form of different meditation practice, as well as the, engage in the sixth perfection of paramita, So whatever you engage in those practice, and there is perseverance as well as joyfulness. That's that perseverance, joy, perseverance. And third one is the joyous perseverance, which work for the others' welfare by striving for the goal of enlightenment of all sentient beings. And then helping and benefiting other sentient beings in whatever way you can help. So when you are trying to help one person, 2 persons, one whole societies, one whole species, whole human beings, whole sentient beings, whatever way you can help and benefit in your own way, But when you help them, there's to be able to help them with the joyful perseverance. If you are joyful perseverance, you enjoy, and also the other persons from whom you are receiving help can also enjoy, because they can see joy in yourself. Instead of, you are helping, but you have no joyfulness, and the other person he's feeling miserable helping me, He's helping me only because he get the check. He's doing this for me only because this is his job. He had to do it. So then you don't feel so appreciative. But when you feel that person is really joy and truly helping, then not only person who is doing it is joyful, but it helps the other person who is receiving the help, them to feel much more better, So it helps both, everyone's. And so therefore, again, finding a joyfulness in, even if it's your job, even if it's your job, still doing with a joyfulness in doing that, instead of feeling like it is, kinds of what you call responsibility, or just that things you need to, do, but finding a joy. And so in trying to help benefit, especially for the bodhisattvas, trying to help and benefit sentient beings, for them to achieve their ultimate happiness or fully awakened state. And so trying to bring that joyful perseverance in that. So those are the three types of the perseverance that is mentioned here. Okay, any questions? I can take a couple of questions if there's any questions. If there is, most welcome. If there isn't, then don't worry. You don't have to feel.
Everybody in this room came here for some reason. And it might be a joyful thing to meditate on that, to look at it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone has any questions? Yeah, yes.
Thank you for your teaching today. I seem to notice sometimes in order to keep the perseverance going, that and this might be selfish, that I need to look for the result of the practice to help me continue. And I was wondering if you might have something to say about that.
Mm-hmm. It's not a selfish, but I think maybe it's more to do with impatience. That we want result, instant result, quick result, bigger result. And sometimes through practice, there are changes. Sometimes we cannot notice some of those changes because those changes are subtle. And I have shared that before. I have had some friends where they didn't see change in themselves, but their children have observed the changes. Their friends has observed the changes, but them themselves couldn't see the changes because it's happening so subtle. The children noticed that. The children actually reminded him that he had changed after he had started meditating and practicing. The children says, you used to yell much more. Now you are yelling less. Those are things. But from from his side, he didn't feel or he didn't see those changes. And a lot of times, sometimes the change are happening, the result is happening, but sometimes it's very subtle and it's happening very slowly, ingrained, and sometimes there's nothing so obvious that we can, conscious about something very obvious, and sometimes we think it's not making progress, it's not having a result. So sometimes that might be one of the cases, So I think, and sometimes, I think even after certain practice requires more time than others to have a better result. Like in any project, there are certain projects you can do more quickly, and there's certain projects which require more time, more effort because the project is bigger projects. Similarly, even in practice, depending on what we are working with, particular meditations, some of those will require much more effort, much more time to have the real result that we are trying to achieve. Let's say trying to develop true bodhicitta mind is a big project compared to some other practices, which might be smaller projects relatively compared to the bodhicittas, and so and so on, So that can be also sometimes the factors. And sometimes it can be factors, just as I mentioned, sometimes you might want to revisit the practice itself, and maybe you might want to talk with someone, maybe I'm not doing right, or maybe not necessarily wrong, but maybe there might be small changes that could make the difference, and just changing a little bit sometime, having sometime, of course, if you have someone who can guide and teach and who can go through that can be helpful. But even sometimes just discussing with even Sangha members that who also meditate and does something, and how do you do that? I meditate this way, and this is what kind of I'm feeling or not feeling, or this is what I experience. And the other person sharing their experience, and sometimes, oh, maybe you see slightly different, or maybe that is what it is, or this. So, so sometimes that is where we need to kind of sometimes need to talk, discuss with some other close Sangha members on your Dhamma. That can also sometimes help a little bit, and sometimes with the teachers or others more experienced meditator practitioners. So all this, and then, yeah. So, yeah. Okay, then we can do the dedication if there is.
Are there any questions on Zoom? Okay. We'll do the prayers. Dedication prayers. May all beings everywhere, plagued by the sufferings of body and mind, obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression.
May
May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness, and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then, may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Long life prayer for His Holiness. Gong ri rewa korwe shinkam dir pandang dewa malu shuwe ne. Chenre sigwa tenzin gyatso yi, shape sita pardu tangyur chi.
So tomorrow we have the Medicine Buddha. Yeah, tomorrow, so just announcing those who want to, at 7, in the evening, we have Medicine Buddha for Jeff's father, who just passed away. Jeff is, some of you already know, some, husband of Nina, our director. And Jeff also helped a lot for the centers and also FMTs, So he just lost his father recently. So tomorrow, so if you can participate, whether in person, on Zoom, you are most welcome. And of course, you can also dedicate for others that who needs, having some health issues in friends, families, colleagues or others in the world, someone who had passed away recently, so you are most welcome, to join. And also, I just wanted to let know, because Jenny Hon also passed away. I don't know. Most of you might not know. I also doesn't know her so much, but she was one of the members. Jenny Kon. She was good friend with Rohina, and then of course some of this. She moved from California to here, but it didn't work out. She went again. She came. She moved a couple of times, and so also it seems she just passed away not also long. So also we can keep her also in your prayers. One of the members of the sangha. So okay, thank you everyone. Thank you.